Well, hi everybody. Good to see you. Um, I'll be I'll talk about a little uh about some things in a few minutes. I really don't have a topic for today because what I want to do today is like I've almost for a year I've been teaching new things for all of you, and it's a lot of techniques. So what I want to do today is in a little bit I want to do a round robin and see where everybody is at. So this is your chance. Oh, looks beautiful, Shira. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Those are beautiful flowers. So I just want you to think this is your opportunity. So we've learned a lot of different things. We've learned a lot of different techniques. So think about what you really want, what you really need help with, what you want to learn more off. And what I want to do then is do a round robin and give everybody the opportunity to, like, for me, it's like get a finger on the pulse to see what you've been practicing, what is working for you, what do you want to learn more about. And I'm going to take everybody's feedback and I'm just on the fly here, gonna create like a curriculum for today because it's always your call. But today is even more so your call. So, yeah, as I talk here in the next few minutes, yeah, think about, write some things down. This is really your opportunity. Maybe there's things that we haven't even covered yet that you would like to learn, like relationships with other people, creating, deeper relationships. And yeah, you can write them in the chat or I'm just going to ask you to unmute and yeah, feel free to say what you want to learn, or maybe there's something that's just stuck within you that you need some help with, or that you wanna help clearing. That's fine too. No issue. The floor is going to be yours. So today is just for me. This last week has just been one of those. It's just all about just letting go and just rolling with it. Like we're staying up in the mountains, and yeah, last night, the internet went, so today I'm like, shit, I gotta find a solution and drive an hour into town, see if I can find a spot, to do this call from. And actually, it went really good. Like before, I'd be more like, maybe stressed about it is a big word, but I was like, oh, I don't really have, any inspiration, something particular to teach. And so I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna show up and see what you guys want to learn. So that excites me. And it's just been like a rough week last week. So we're up in the mountains, like cabin sitting for our friends, and we're watching their dog, and their dog gets sick like 2 days into it. And we told them we're calling them. We're in Mexico, like, hey, we want to take her to the vet. They're like, no, she gets that. Sometimes she eats dead animals and whatever. And she just kept being sick. We're like, we really want to take her to the vet. We got to take her. And then finally, we ended up taking her to the vet, and she was like so sick, and they had to put her down like last Thursday night. And that was like really interesting because we take great care of animals, and she was eating grass the moment she got here, and we treated her and loved on her like you know like she's her own dog. And then that happened, and that brought up some interesting things for me that I just kind of want to talk about, to like share from my experience and see, like, I go through these things still too. And um yeah, I started to get in this conflict of like beliefs. Like on one end, I very much know like there's no such thing as a coincidence. Like I've seen it enough, like with my mother, with other animals, like accidents at a higher level do not really exist. I have that belief now, seeing how much I opened up through animals, through like my mother passing. And I had this conflicting like beliefs because like on a conscious level, I really, for me, that is true now. Like, there are no coincidences like that, and beings go when it is their time. But my unconscious mind, my feeling, I just wanted to punish myself, which was like, have this guilt and blame, but I couldn't like make sense out of it. We should have done, I don't know what we could have done different, right? And so I like felt that tug of war um, between the two belief systems to where you really like believe that, okay, like I embrace that now, I embody that now, that things are that way, and then something like this happens. And all of a sudden, it didn't feel that way. So I had to really work with two challenging belief systems. Me consciously like no, and there's nothing else we like could have done. We picked her up. She got sick straight away. We don't know what happened, and we couldn't figure it out. But I got aware of deep within my unconscious mind a willingness like to punish myself or feeling that I had done like something wrong. And then what happened is I realized that that was the same feeling that was tied to my mother's passing 11 years ago, because I promised her I was going to do whatever to, get her healed from cancer. And I felt like I failed, even though she told me that that was not the case. I realized that that came back up. And I just want to share with you kind of how that works. And this is based um, on the work of like Answer Cancer. We probably talked about that. Stephen Parkhill. He was a very successful hypnotist healing people of like terminal cancer, fourth stage cancer, really by hypnosis, going deep into the limiting belief that then is part of the emotional blockage, the emotional charge, and then it goes through denser layers and becomes physical. Like I follow training with a Chinese medical Qigong guy. So he worked in a medicineless hospital in China where they would basically dissolve cancers with sound. And one of the things that he noticed was that most people, after like 9 months or something, the cancer would come back. So he basically realized that the way he explained it, it made so much sense to me, is that when we have these thought forms, these limiting beliefs, they form these almost like strands, and they start forming like a spaghetti, right? And then when that is like not addressed, that moves into a denser layer, into the emotional. Then in the physical, it forms a cyst, and that cyst becomes a tumor. So what they started actually doing is give people, they use sound, right? They use physical sound to break up the tumor, but also very low sound, and then ultimately they have to be able to make the sound in their mind, and they dissolve tumors. There's a video somewhere on YouTube because they shut all these medicineless clinics. They shut them all down, of course. But there's one, I believe, I forget who it was, maybe Greg Braden or one of these guys, but they basically had somebody and they show like an echo of it. And these three medical Qigong practitioners come in and they start making the sound, and you just see the tumor shrink and it was gone. So what they started doing then was actually giving people the clearing sounds, because what he realized after being in those medicineless hospitals for like 10 years is that if you do not get to the root of the issue in the mind, things keeps coming back, right? And the way I was taught about that is we call about we talk about an initial sensitizing event and a subsequent uh, sensitizing event. So what does this mean? It means early on, typically between that age 0 and 5, 0 and 7 that we always talk about, some traumatic experience happens. Now, I'm going to tell you, trauma is the perception of the being at the time of their boundaries like being violated. Oftentimes I get people and I take them to regression and it was something seemingly really silly from an adult point of view, like what, they took your doll away? And that's like what at the root of this, right? You cannot look at it with the mind that you have now because it's the perception of their boundary being violated. So that's what they call the initial sensitizing event. It is the root. Now, what happens then, we form a belief about ourselves. And then we go look for that in the outer world and we find confirmation. So we start creating other events that are linked to that first one, the subsequent ones. And it's kind of like you see like maybe like a pyramid where there is one more and more and more and more. And in the end, you have almost this whole root system, right? So what we learn is to go to that first one and yank that out because then everything collapses, right? And I want to share this with you because what Stephen Parkhill wrote in his book like really resonated with me. He said in like the great majority of the people that develop cancer later in their life, at some point in their childhood early on, they felt that they were not welcome. And oftentimes it could have been when they were still like in the womb that maybe the father didn't want the child, or the mother was like, I cannot take care of a child right now. I have too much. This is like, and the child picked up on the not wantingness or not deserving to be here, right? And then that starts festering in the mind because then you get confirmations of that, and then the subconscious mind goes to work to make it true. That's what the subconscious mind will always do. Whatever your beliefs are, it will look for a way to match your outer reality to that. So, Jen, go ahead.
Can we jump in? Because I have something I want to do with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Because like what you're sharing, I'm like, wow. And I've been looking at this, right? What you're saying, like in my life, and this pattern I have had, and the originating incident around like I'm going on a trip or a vacation, and then something tragic happens, like before or during. And
Mm-hmm.
I see it, like I see it like all over. And I'm about to go away, and I saw and like this thing like almost happened that I was like, oh, that's the thing that was gonna happen. And so I'm in this place where I'm like, is there a way to stop this? Like, like is this, or is this just like a thing that I'm gonna dance out, and I have an awareness of it. Like I create a new affirmation around it, and I just have a different experience. So I wanted to see if you could help me with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's a good point of what you bring up. That's like a prime example of that. Um, the way to work through that is like, where do you feel that in your body, right? Because probably already when you start planning your trip or something, some feeling starts to come up like, oh shit, I hope something doesn't happen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what you can do is like point to that feeling
Mm-hmm.
and um,
It's
then
it's
like,
my heart.
mhm,
It's my heart. It's my heart.
all right, let's do it. So tune into it. Um, when you think about your trip now, right? You're excited, but then you also notice that there's this little part of yourself, that might be a little scared or be like, I hope this doesn't happen, right? I want
Yeah.
you to notice and pay attention to where in your body you feel that, right? So it's in your heart, you said?
Yeah, I mean, the excitement is in my heart, but like when you were just talking, I felt like the kind of dread in my gut. Like it
Yeah,
kind of like
I
stopped.
felt it in my gut. You're right. Could feel it when you brought it up. So just like put your left hand there where that is in your gut and just tune into that feeling. Allow yourself to feel it. And on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the absolute worst, what would you rate it right now, Jen?
Like a six. A six.
Perfect. That's right. So, can you tell me something else about that feeling? Does it have a form? Does it have a certain shape? What do you notice when you go tune in there?
Like when you said shape, I thought of a triangle. Like a
Perfect.
triangle.
So we're dealing with a triangle. What else do you notice? Is it hot or cold? Does it have a texture associated with it?
It's like hard.
Hard. Exactly. Anything else that sticks out about this hard triangle in your gut?
Mm, it's like always been there, I feel like
Oh, hmm.
freaking heart triangle.
Is it all in your body, or
Is
is
it
part of it coming out?
um I guess part of it comes out.
Okay, awesome. So if there were an image floating in the space around you that's connected to that hard triangle in your gut that's partially sticking out, where would that be? Just let your other hand go there. Hmm. Now, with both hands, draw a big black frame around it so we can see how big it is. Nice. Grab the frame with both hands. Slowly make it bigger. Notice
Mhm.
what happens to the feeling.
And then like goes away.
Cool. Now make it smaller and notice what happens to the feeling.
It's like tighter.
Yeah, exactly. So make it a little bit more comfortable. And then on the front of that frame is a knob, contrast knob. Make it all the way black, make it all the way white. Notice which one feels better.
The white.
White one, beautiful. And your dominant hand is a golden pen. Write all the lessons on there. Just do the automatic writing with your unconscious mind. That's
Mhm.
right. That's right. Great. Beautiful. These are all the lessons why your unconscious mind wants to hold on to this feeling. So we're only keeping the lessons. We're letting go of everything else. Good. Any feelings that come up, Jen? Any changes? You write them on there too. You could feel blushing. You could feel waves of energy going through your body. It's completely normal. Keep writing.
Well, it's interesting because like I'm starting to see like it hasn't just been my feeling, it's been like my ancestors' feeling. Like this isn't
Exactly.
just me. This is like it's so fascinating because I watched like Hope Fitzgerald had a an event last night where she showed her trip to Scotland and like my ancestors are from the UK and I feel like this thing around a trip or vacation, it's like just this inherited thing that I'm
Yeah.
playing out in this lifetime. And
Just keep writing. I'll address that later. That's a really good point.
um
Got it? All
yeah.
right. Now I'd like you to just make that frame as big as the universe. That's right. Float it over your head. And when you're ready to get rid of front sprawl, throw it behind you as far as you can. Nail it back there for all eternity. Take a deep breath. Let that breath out with a sigh. And try to bring that old feeling back and notice what happens instead.
Yeah, I feel better.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second.
Thank you, Nico. You're muted. You're back.
Yeah, I was running out of power. Hold it
Oh,
to start my car. so I don't have any issues. Um, so good. Like if you tune in now, is there still part of it there? What would you rate it now?
Like a 2, maybe, you know?
Okay. So what you can do later is you can spin this or color breed this, right? But most of the root of this should be gone. Hold on, let me take care of this situation. All right. So you bring up a really good point, which is that a lot of these things they're not ours, right? They're from our ancestors. And I say it doesn't freaking matter. You drew the lucky straw, right? Because and I learned this from after my dad passed, all of a sudden I started to get all these weird thoughts. My mom had already passed and then my dad passed. And the reason is anything your parents do not resolve before they pass over, you inherited that stuff. You get an energetic inheritance. And that's what they would call more like ancestral trauma now, right? But the most powerful uh, way to deal with that is to clean up your stuff. I mean, I don't know how many of you have heard here shamans and stuff talk about when you heal yourself, you heal 7 generations forward and backward, right? So that is like really important. To me, it doesn't matter because it's like the stream of consciousness that I kind of look at and it diverts into different uh small streams. So when one stream is no longer there and another one's no longer there, where does the water go? In the stream that is still open. Welcome. You're that stream. Oftentimes, I've noticed that 90% of the stuff is it did not start with you. So this is like a good technique you can use. When you like feel something, you can ask yourself, is this mine? And then go with what your unconscious mind says. And to me, it doesn't matter whether it's yes or no. You have the tools to resolve it anyway. But oftentimes I feel for a lot of people, it takes a little bit of the edge off of that feeling. When they get that no from the unconscious mind, people are more like, it's not mine, but they still feel it. So a few other things I want to point out here. Many of you have done the magic frame. So a few things here. Did you notice like for her, when she made it bigger, it got less? For most people, it's like when they make it smaller, it gets less. It doesn't really matter. Some people are expanders, some people compress. The only thing you need to be aware of is which one makes the feeling less, makes you feel better. If that is smaller for you, at the end of the exercise, you're going to make it small as a post-it stamp and throw behind you. If making it bigger makes it less for you, make it as big of the universe and then get it behind you. And this can be different. I have certain things that are coded opposite. It does not matter. You just need to know which one to do. The other thing that I showed in the beginning with Jen, because this was a deeper issue, sometimes we have to get more into it. So when I say point to where you feel it, sometimes if you feel like this issue, you cannot really grab a hold of it, or the color is not doing, or where you feel it, ask your unconscious mind other questions about it. What shape does it have? Draw the shape. What other things do you notice? Is it cold? Is it hot? What texture does it have? Every time you do that, you bring more channels. You open up more channels, more bandwidth in your awareness of what is here, and you can go much deeper into it. For those of you that want to teach these techniques to other people or to your children, a few things that I found that work really well, you do it with the person. Even if they have their eyes closed, we have something that's called mirror neurons in our brain, and they will pick up on what other people are doing. And when you watch somebody, like they've actually done this with like sports people who watch like videos of like their skiing or whatever, and they saw the parts of the brain light up. just by watching that. And they actually develop those pathways just by watching it. So one of the things I found useful if you're going to do it with other people is act it out with them, and it gets them more engaged. So thank you for volunteering that, Jen. And I also want to give you another thing, Jen. Like when these things like stay, we have other techniques, but they're a bit harder to do on your own. What we actually do is we take the person in the middle of where that spot is, and we have them travel through the middle, and then we go through a portal and take them to the first time they felt this feeling. Right? And then we ask, oh, I was 6 years old. Is this the first time you felt it? No. We take them again until we get to that initial sensitizing event and we find that root, and there we rewrite it or we do an intervention, and then the whole thing just collapses. But it's something that's more challenging for me to teach to do by yourself because there's so many intricacies.
Beautiful. Thank
Do
you.
that. Thank you. So I open it up to you guys. What do you want to learn more about? What are things that are still challenging for you, or what do you need help with? It's yours. Elena, please unmute yourself.
Hi, it's this is my first time being on here.
Yes.
Patter did that
Welcome.
technique with me, and usually I have a bunch of other things to go to at this time, but I was so curious what you're doing, and I could totally relate to. I saw that video about the Qigong hospital too. I know what you're talking about. The conclusion I came to today was, I think what's been holding me back is self-pity. And I think it is rooted in not feeling wanted. Because many times, you know, I've said to myself, I know I can do anything, but I don't have the heart. Although I think it's in my solar plexus. But anyway, yeah, it's just a feeling of not being wanted, and like why bother? Why should I be here? And I felt that pretty much my whole life.
Yes, I mean, a lot of that starts early on, and I think a lot of us can relate to that. I surely can. And then the question is, why does my mind hold on to this? Well, because the unconscious mind, it wants to keep you safe. What is the enemy of the unconscious mind? Unpredictability. So this is the thing with the unconscious mind we need to understand, is that it will always go with what's familiar. So when we like grow up, or we little babies and we see mom and dad argue or whatever, right? And then they make up or whatever, and then we feel love, you know, your unconscious mind is like arguing or fighting. That is like love. So then later on in life, as we get older, people are, I don't know why I always attract these assholes. I don't know, why it's always these people, why I'm never attracted to like the good guys. I get a lot. Why do I always keep like choosing these abusive relationships? I see it over and over, because you basically start dating and start getting into relationships with the same person with a different face because it's based on that early belief, right? So for you, do you want to, if you want to get into it, we can go feel where it's at.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want you to tune into that feeling and just notice where in your body you feel this when that voice comes up.
There's a broad place right in my solar plexus, right under my rib cage.
Great. So let me ask you, is there any reason you might want to hold on to this?
Oh, wow.
Well, so
I could stay safe. Yeah. I don't have to scare myself, by doing things that I don't have to take chances and stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It works great.
Good. So what would you rate the feeling right now in your solar plexus on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst?
About a 9.
Okay, good. A 9. So if there, you can put your hand there on your solar plexus, like your left hand. So if there were an image floating in the space around you that's connected to that feeling, where's that image? Just let your hand go there. Person. Beautiful. With both hands, draw a frame around it so you can see how big it is. Yeah. Grab the frame, slowly make it bigger. Notice what happens to the feeling.
It does relax a little bit. It's also frightening.
Okay.
I feel
And
frightened. Yeah.
okay. And then when you do the opposite and make it smaller than it was, what do you notice now happening to the feeling?
Feels all scrunched up.
Feels worse? Okay. Just
Feels
make
all
it
scrunched up. Yeah.
Does it feel worse than making it bigger?
Um. Yeah. Yeah. It feels
Okay,
worse.
just make it a little bigger so you have a little release. Then on the front there's a knob, contrast knob, making it white or black. Which one feels better?
No, let's try black.
So make it all the way black. Then in your dominant hand there's a golden pen. Start writing all the lessons that are connected to this. And it's like automatic writing. You can just let your finger go. It's just your unconscious mind offloading all the information, all the lessons that you're holding on to. So you can only keep the lessons and let go of everything.
There's lots of feelings too, just lots of hurt.
That's okay. You write them all on there.
Write the hurt feelings. Okay.
Yeah, you write them all on there. Anything that comes up. I got people that write shit. I got people that write all kinds of stuff. It does not matter. Your unconscious mind knows exactly what needs to go there.
Yeah. There's a lot of poor me, poor me, poor me.
That's right. That's a
Poor
safe place.
me. They don't love me. Nobody loves me. There's a lot of it.
All right.
Mm.
Your hand will simply stop, and it's all good. You should worry about that. I have people that write for a minute, I have people that write for 20 minutes. Whatever it takes.
It's just so hurt. Yeah, just really heartbroken feeling.
Great. Got it all?
I think so. Yeah.
Beautiful. Take the frame, make it as big as the universe. Hold it over your head. When you're ready to get rid of it, throw it behind you as far as you can. Nail it back there for all eternity. You can never come back. Take a deep breath. The breath out with a sigh. Try to bring that old feeling back. Notice what happens instead.
There's that's interesting. That particular feeling is gone.
Yeah.
There's maybe some other stuff around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good in one go to have that feeling gone.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that intense, they don't love me. Yeah, that feels like it's gone.
Beautiful. So now for you, the next step, and you can do this offline. We have the videos of the other techniques. You can go after that and clean up. Something that happens a lot is like it's in one place and we clear that, and something else pops up related to that. It's just about being thorough and going through those.
Pattern
So
is something about spinning.
yeah, that's another technique. And then the
Okay.
color braiding. Those will get rid of like 80-90% of the things. How many noticed when I asked her, is there any reason you might want to hold on to that? The hesitation. Right? So the unconscious mind always answers truthfully and always answers first. So when you do this with other people, or when you do it with yourself, never pay attention to the answer. At some point, it's going to be yes, right? But you want to see any hesitation, any doubt. That tells me that your unconscious mind believes there is a reason it wants to hold on to it, which I was already suspecting here, because yeah, you could tune into like what you could call the other gain that you get out of it, which is safety, right? Like not even going there, your unconscious mind is, oh, okay, then she can't get hurt, right? If we don't even let her go. And that's how your unconscious mind just wants to keep you safe, but it has the intelligence or the awareness of like maybe a 9-year-old, right? So we just go with that. One other beautiful thing for those of you that can start doing this with other, you see her yawn at the end of it. That's always a good sign. Do not get discouraged about that. In the beginning when I was doing that, I was like, man, I'm kind of fall asleep. No, yawning is a big sign of consciousness shifting. Thank you, Elena, and
Thank
welcome.
you.
Work
Yeah,
with that more. The videos are in your membership section. Keep clearing that out. And then there's the gray room recording that clears unconscious blocks. We have other things in those recordings. These are really going to help you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Roger, go ahead.
I have a question. When Elena said that she had some other stuff coming up,
yeah,
it seems like a good time to take that up would be right then.
Yep.
Okay. So in her
So,
session with herself, just continue.
Yeah.
With the next subject.
Yeah, and that's the advice that I gave her. Like usually with people when I'm in a session, we keep drilling until we have all of it, right? But today I want to give everybody the opportunity to to ask for what they want or what they need help with. So you have anything, Roger, as you speak?
Oh, I haven't worked with this enough, but my cosmic tower's given me so much work that I got too much to do right now. But so I got a whole bunch of books that I'm working through. So it's been fantastic. So yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear. All right.
And my whole big thing is clearing. Right now I'm working on clearing. I had a stroke about
I remember
9 years ago that I want to clear. So
yeah, absolutely. Keep
working
that. So here's the thing that you can use, like with a stroke, for example, or something physical. Go to where you like feel that in your body, and then ask your unconscious mind. These symptoms, these physical symptoms, are not the root of this issue. Underneath and at the root of this issue is a feeling that lays at the root of these symptoms. Where do I feel that? And then go to where you feel the emotion connected with it, and clean that up with the techniques. And then I had a guy a while ago, and he had back pain for 10 years. And we actually cleared it out in like 15 minutes by going to the emotion that was underneath it. So don't underestimate the simplicity of this. It's very like powerful work. And Dane, you know this too. The simpler the things, the more powerful they are. But we don't want to do it because we always want the complex, fancy techniques and stuff, right? Find what works for you and keep doing it. Thank you, Roger. Jordan.
Thanks.
Yes, my question is a follow-up to what you were telling Roger regarding a physical issue.
Yeah.
So Is it better to work on the physical issue when it's active or when it's inactive?
It doesn't really matter as long as you can pull it up,
Okay.
right? So if you can pull it up, if it's active, absolutely, go there, but it's not a requirement. Your mind can go to a time when it was active and you were really having that pain, and then you use your senses to tune into that, right? What you're feeling, and you make it really strong, that situation. Then you will feel where the physical issue is. And then again, you ask your unconscious mind, these are just the symptoms. At the root of this is a feeling. Where in my body do I feel this? And then pay attention. And you're going to feel it in another place. You work that first. Typically, from my experience, you want to magic frame that because there's things connected to that. When that is clear, you go to the physical issue if it's active. And for me, with physical issues, then the spinning really works well.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is because this physical issue, it returns every month. And what I've been doing is going to the EE system, and it starts about approximately, not every time, but around the same time. And I go to the EE system and it restarts almost like clockwork, a certain number of hours after I left the EE system. And I tried, pulling it out and putting it kind of clockwise and then putting it back, clean. And then putting a neutralizing color and then putting it back.
Yep.
But it didn't work. So then I tried other physical things. But when I went to the E system, it did work for, I think it's from the time I went to the E system to when it restarted again the next day, it's about 23 hours.
Okay.
And it took, I think, I tried to go to the E system in advance, that didn't work. So when it was active, because I didn't have a car, so I couldn't go there right away. And I guess when I finally made it there, it's basically the same pattern. So I want to be able to keep relying on the EE system, because sometimes, like, what if I'm overseas and I can't, they're not public units.
Yeah. You have Susie now to get to the system, but what I would do is when it comes up, ask the question. You have to ask the question to your unconscious mind, like, hey, this is just a symptom. What is the feeling that lays at the root? And then I recommend you magic frame that and you clear that root out. And oftentimes you'll see a reduction in physical pain already. But what you can do is then spin it or color breed it and then do it. But do not do it before you have the underlying emotional cause, the root pulled out that is related to the physical.
Okay. I didn't do that. I
Yeah.
will try when it comes
Do
back.
that and let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
You can tell me about that. That's really important, right? As we were just talking, how thought forms, the spaghetti forms a blockage in the emotional, becomes, a cyst. You want to travel back all the way to the emotion connected, like to the thought form, and clear that at that level. And you'll be like, yeah, well, we're addressing the emotion. No. You're also addressing the thoughts. Remember, the unconscious mind communicates through feelings. And from my experience, clearing one feeling can get rid of 1,000 thoughts.
Okay.
Huh? Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Who else has something? Megan.
My turn. Thank you. So, okay. So I have a little unique question, of course, but what, when you asked this, the first thing that came to my mind was, the whole, when to, as far as when do I go out and I feel like I'm constantly getting things downloaded, right? When do I take initiation versus when do I allow the universe and, and wait and really the boondoggling or communicating with the universe in a way. And I had a situation come up and it's kind of almost crazy of interacting with the universe where I was updating my website and I was like, oh, I'm going to put on there to teach classes, and this and that, right? Same day, hours later, I had to print something off for my husband's, like he's going to the doctor, getting his spine worked on because it's falling apart. And I was printing off this 15-page form. Well, again, I'm a person with numbers, and it stopped on page 11. It went from 15 to 11. It stopped. It needed paper. So I just put in some blank paper, good to go. Well, come to find out, I accidentally put it through like my certificate for energy healing. And here's the weird part is I did double-sided and it didn't touch like the front at all, but on the back, like it printed employment. And it's weird, like to fill out the employment part of that, form. Now, what's weird too is I was like, I usually work at a job for about 5 years and then I kind of master it, get bored of it. It doesn't challenge me. I move on. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I'm about 4 years into this job. I have about a year left. I'm like, I was going to take some software classes just to learn how to do it. And then I'm like, what's next? And then this happened. So then I was like, that's pretty crazy. That's wild. So I'm like, okay, I made this move. Now, another situation, just really high level, we have a family farm and it's like, what do you do? My grandma's getting old. My dad and brother hate each other at times, and I just prayed to myself, like to my, prayed and like was talking to my grandpa and everyone that's passed. I'm like, okay, they're being little turkeys to grandma and this and that. Please give guidance to her. And the next day she was like, I've had the most, I know what to do and this and that. And so it's like, when do you like step in, like where I'm like chewing out my dad and uncle versus like standing back and like the universe figured it out versus like this one when I made this step and things just like, is there any tips to that? Because I feel like I don't want to like, I'm constantly starting things because I just want everything and everything's wonderful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. You're like, okay, am I just getting delusional or should I really
Oh,
like?
I feel like I'm in my own magical world half the time.
Good.
Like, and I'm like, yeah. And so it's like, what do you, yeah.
Awesome. Great question. So you can ask your higher self. Now, here's the trick about asking your higher self. The higher self needs to go through the lower self, through the subconscious. That's what the work that we're doing here to clear the unconscious, to clear the subconscious is really important. Because a lot of people talk to their higher self, but how they feel, their unconscious, their subconscious is not clear and it will twist. Right? What you hear. So a few suggestions for you are ask your unconscious mind. Ask the question, go with the first impression. The other thing is you want to pay attention to how you feel. Because to me, emotion, like feelings are like a guidance system. And like when you get excited about something, right? Or that is like your unconscious mind telling you, like, yeah, go ahead. That's good. Or when you're thinking about other things and you just get like, oh, get a yuck feeling or whatever, that is your unconscious mind reacting to your thought forms and saying, like, no, that's not in alignment with your guidance. So use the techniques that you've learned and that you've practiced to go with that first impression and get yourself really clear, right? You clear your emotions, anything that is there that you notice, and then ask your unconscious mind the question and pay attention to that first impression.
Okay.
Right? So go with that. Actually, I believe if there's only one thing you can learn from this class and you learn to go with your first impression, you're going to get really, really far because that is also, intuition works that way. Right? You're like, oh yeah, I knew this. Damn it. Right? But your conscious mind comes in and then gets really loud and overrides it. But if you learn to go with that first impression, and you get really good at that, things just start to flow, and it feels like you already know at some level.
Yeah. Well, and
Right?
that's, yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you.
so one of them here, here's what you can do. This is kind of like a fun one for you. Do you have a particular example of this thing, like right now?
Oh man, I've got like 1,000 projects, 1,000 this and that. So yeah, yeah, I'll do, yeah, yes.
Okay. So let me ask you this,
Mhm.
Megan. There have been times in your life when you had that intuition
Mhm.
and you followed it and you knew you were right at some level, and then it turns out you were right. Can
Mhm.
you think of something like that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, and it's something all of you can do, when you think about that, about a time when you had that, where in your body did you feel that?
Oh, in my heart, like my heart will like go on fire, and then it like even almost like wants to just come up, like yeah, like I almost can't even think because it's just so strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So put your hand on your heart. Now, if you were to ask your unconscious mind, where in the space around you is that stored, having that intuition and knowing that you're right? Point to where that is.
Okay. I'm holding my phone.
You
Okay.
got it there?
Mhm.
Okay. That is where that is stored. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Just take note of that location.
Mhm.
Got it? All right.
Mhm.
That's where your unconscious mind stores that. Okay, so let that go for a second. Okay, what'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Um, popcorn.
There you go. Awesome breakfast. Good. That was just to kind of clear it. Now think of a
Yeah.
thing where you kind of have doubts about it, something, whether you don't know whether it's right or not.
Mhm.
Okay. Where in your body do you feel that?
In my solar plexus.
In your solar plexus. Good. Now, where is that stored in the space around you? Can you point to that?
Mhm.
Right there. Okay. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that and put it in the spot where the other stuff is stored, and then tell me what's happening.
It's weird because like I feel the energy moving up, and now it's like in my heart. Like I feel that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Did
Okay.
it go in there in that spot?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I
Mhm.
know this might sound crazy, but now all of a sudden you know it's right. It moved to your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fun
And it's
the
like I
funny
forgot about the situation even. Like I'm like, wait, what did I pick in the beginning? You know?
Yes.
Okay.
So the thing is, what you're gonna notice if it's not right, it's just gonna reject it.
Oh,
You're not
okay.
gonna be able to put it in that spot.
Okay.
Your nervous system stores everything in containers of information around you on top of the one that is on top of the feeling internally. It
Mhm.
also stores the information somewhere. So this is like for all of you, this is really powerful, and actually that giving me an idea about changing limiting beliefs. They can be real, they can change real quickly. So if you have a limiting belief, right, here's what you do first. And oh, maybe we can all do that together. That'd be kind of fun. Anybody here have a limiting belief? Nice. So let me ask you guys this. So just think about that limiting belief, whatever it is, right? Write it down so you have it. Okay. Anyone will do. Any of the belief? Everybody got that? Good. So here's what we're gonna do. So I want you to think of a time where you had a strong belief about something, and then later on it was like, yeah, I don't believe that anymore. right? Because you learned something new, you learned something better, you discovered something. I want you to go back about to that time where you had a certain limiting belief and then you grew out of it and you no longer have it. Now, when you think about that, I want you to notice that, like transcending a limiting belief that you once strongly believed and now you no longer believe in it, notice where you feel that in your body. Yeah, just put your hand there. And then notice, just let your hand go. If there's a place in the space around you where that is stored, let your hand go there. Just point to the space. Beautiful. That is what that is stored. So I just want you to take that frame and whatever it is, I want you to look at it. Just hold it in front of you. Pick that spot and I want you to kind of look at it. Right? And I want you to pay attention to the attributes when you think about what that thing is. Right? I want you to see, is there any color to it? Is it a movie or is it still picture? Right? What else is black and white? Is it color? Is it still? Is it a movie? Are you in first person? Do you see yourself in the third person? Are there any sounds? And all I want you to do is I want you to take note of the attributes of that image. Remember, you don't have to actually see anything, but go with that first impression. Got it. When you've taken note of those attributes, I want you to put that frame aside. And we're going to use it later. Just put it off to your left or your right. Cool. Now let that go for a second. That's right. And now what I would like you to do, I would like you to pull up your limiting belief and really think about that. Say it to yourself, whatever it is, your limiting belief about yourself is, or about the world or others. Perfect. And I want you to notice when you say that, when you tune into that there's a feeling in your body connected to that limiting belief. Point to where that is. Got it. Good. When you're thinking about that, I want you to notice that there's a place in the space around you where that is stored. Let your hand go there. Beautiful. Make a frame around that. Grab that frame. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to hold that frame in front of you and then pull that other frame up that we put aside, and I want you to compare them. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to make this frame exactly the same as the other one, the attributes. If you were in first person, make it in first person. If it was in black and white, make it black and white. If it was a movie, make it a movie. If there was sound, match the sound, match the volume. Any other attributes, shift them to where the attributes are identical, even though the image is different. Yeah, tweak it. Doing great. When you got that, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this frame and stick it in the first spot where the old beliefs are that you no longer believe in. Notice what happens. Jam it in there, in that place. And then notice what happens when you think back about it. So try to pull that limiting belief up now and then notice what happens. What did it do for you, Megan?
So when I wrote down, like, I'm like, as far as limited belief is, like, all this wonderful ideas that I'm just limited. Like, I always roadblocks, and I just kind of picture myself like keep running into walls almost, right? Then after doing that, it's almost like I view it now as like bowling and putting some bumpers up where it's just guiding me. Like I'm just like trying to run, like, I don't know. It's like I was trying to run into like a wall, which I shouldn't. It was just guiding me to where it needs to go almost. Like it's not against me, it's for me.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a thing. So it changes my perspective that way. Like if that makes sense. So
Yes.
I really like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Elena, sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I was gonna say that helps a ton. Thank you.
Yes. How did that go for you?
I feel a little bit of disorientation. It's like, what? Huh?
Yeah,
What?
that's normal.
Yeah. But it definitely feels clearer. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. All right, you're welcome. So here's one of the things. We believe that limiting beliefs are these ginormous obstacles that we can't get around. Well, that's not true. They are coded like anything else in your neurology. So this is something you can play with that's a bit more advanced. When you figure out where you always start with the feeling, that's the anchor point in the body of all the subtle vibrations that are beyond that. And then when you can locate it, the moment that you start reorganizing things, do you notice how your perception changes? Right? It really is that simple. So what were we doing? What determines how something feels for us, or how is our reality coded? Our reality of the sense is coded through the senses, right? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. And what you do is you have a particular code, and you have like your mind organizes according to similars. Does that make sense? It's like you have a filing cabinet. All the like, I'm not good enough, stored right here in my aura. All the like, I'm great, stored right here. Everything not good enough, these attributes. The things of like, oh, I'm freaking great, these attributes. Now, guess what? If you change the attributes, you will shift your perspective. If you physically move it to the other like cabinet in your aura, you will change it too. So this is a really powerful one to work with limiting beliefs, to find where you store those things that you no longer believe in, and then just matching the attributes. It's like changing the code, and then you just jam them in there. Sometimes what might happen is that something might pop out, and it might not really take. Some of you might have experienced that. It does happen. You just take it back and you check your attributes, right? And you make it match more again. And then when everything matches to the way it's coded over here, it'll just go in. That's how you can change beliefs really fast. Awesome. Anybody have any questions or remarks or anything about that? All right. Great. Who else has something? Zane, I'd love to hear you talk. Why don't you share with us?
Yeah, this is a great exercise. It made me think about, well, it goes pretty deep. It's to do something meaningful and significant, and it has to be difficult. Like it has to be a lot of work. And an underlying variable behind that is that that can become an excuse not to take the next step, what I need to do in my soul journey. And so it like distracts me with this belief system. And I've made things difficult. And so my instinct is to avoid it at that level. And so the picture was black and white. And when I was able to think of attributes, like how it seems to be working for me these days is intuition and magic. Like it's like I'm not alone in this. There's this co-creation going on. And And that brought this picture frame into Technicolor.
Nice.
And so that's my process. And I think it's so key, so pivotal. I mean, I'm at the age now, I'm in my 70s. Can't believe it, but time is running out. So I can't afford to think, oh, it's going to be all difficult. I'll put that off to another time or anything like that. This brings me more to the moment and trusting my intuition and my connection with source.
Beautiful. Yeah, God, this has like no limits. Do not underestimate understanding like you do the interface of how things are coded in your neurology. I mean, you can change anything, right? There's multiple ways to change it. The moment you change an attribute, you change that the perception. The moment you move it and you store it somewhere else, it changes, and then you can just wipe the whole hard drive altogether. We have that too, right? Which is what color breeding would do, right? Color breeding is an example to where you do not even go into the attributes, but you just basically wipe the hard drive, if you want to call that. You just trash the whole thing, and it works too. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right. Anybody have any other questions? Comments? Then I want to,
I was
there
gonna
isn't. I want to.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say really quickly, I just think the background behind you is really cool. It looks like there's a silhouette within the trees. Like there's like a silhouette on the other side. Like so wild. I don't know. I just had to say it. It's been just, it looks cool where you're at. Like that little silhouette of the tree. It looks like there's a person there. So anywho, random.
Thank you. All right. So I want to open it up like for next session. What do you guys want to learn about? What is like really in your life that you say, I want help with this or this. I want to learn more about this or whatever. So, there's so many things I can teach about. I think today was good to kind of, take a pause and see where everybody is at. And yeah, Jordan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm interested to explore further, like one of the things that Patter said happened to him with the cosmic towers, where there's a electromechanical machine, the truck was stopped, and there was some critical truck part, and he knew which one it was that wasn't working, and then he was called to do this, that he took that part, and that I'm thinking the truck shouldn't be able to drive with it. He put it back in I'll call it the cab with all the 220s and other cosmic towers, and the truck ran until the repair shop. So I want to know more on how to manifest something like that. So and it's going on to, it's continuing from what you worked with me in our session yesterday with the art of playfulness.
So what I'm hearing is more like manifestation, how to make things happen in this realm.
Yeah, but actual physical is where. Oh, and then one of the Hawaiian Lovonya members put a watch battery that not a watch battery, just the watch, which replacing the batteries didn't work, and put it next to the cosmic tower, and then the watch started working again. So just logically, it just doesn't make any sense, but it happens. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So, we're in manifestation where some of us have described, oh, there was a synchronicity, but this is not synchronicity. It's more.
Yeah. So let me tell you, the secret about manifestation, 80% of is cleaning up your old shit and your limited beliefs.
Oh.
It is, because my Taoist master, like, he can move people with his mind, and I've seen him do crazy things. I've seen his underarm disappear completely because he wasn't doing his breathing to stay physical. I believe big part of that is because these guys have gone so deep to release their limiting beliefs of what they find possible, of what is possible in this reality. A lot of those reality agreements are collective, and we inherit them from your parents. No, you can't do that. That's not possible. Right? No, you can't walk through a wall. That's possible, even though there are people that can levitate, people that can teleport, and all these things are possible. So, from my experience, you know how we talked about you can manifest anything that you want, but you first have to become the person that can happen to? I
Yeah.
believe a big part of that is letting go of this limiting beliefs because you're doing it, but some part of you says that can't happen. And we can do that. I can teach you one of the most powerful like manifestation techniques that I've ever come across. And it was created by a guy named Bill Bankston. And he wrote a book, Hands-On Healing. And you can find him at bankstonresearch.com, and I'll put it in the chat. His work's incredible. And they have a process called image cycling. And image cycling, I've seen whack stuff with it. Like it completely like warps the reality. I'll tell you my latest one about this. Like I fly a lot, and last year I was like a platinum medallion with Delta, which is really beneficial. If you fly a lot, you get a lot of benefits. And this year, even leaving for Egypt in 2 weeks, I was like, man, like I'm gonna be short. So I put being a platinum medallion in that manifestation technique, which is basically you make a list of all the things you want, and we'll teach it, and you like really strongly anchor it to where you can really feel it. And then you take all those images, that entire list, and you're going to cycle them really fast through your mind. And faster and faster and faster, where you go in this hyper speed. And that's what he uses to teach healing people. They have these mice that they inject with this carcinogen that has 100% mortality. They grow a tumor, they die. And so they did research on that because he wanted to disprove energy healing. He said, it's all bullshit. And so this guy actually taught him, and then the guy didn't want to do it. So he had to do that. And he started healing all these mice, but not like in a regular way. The cancer would like grow and then poof, it would just implode at day 34 and it'd be gone. The other cool thing is like no mice survives this. I mean, right? It's 100% mortality. Then what he has figured out is he started teaching college kids this for beer money. The less they believed in energy healing, the better. And they started doing it. Right? So he's teaching the class. He's like, the one thing you got to watch out with, he says, the image cycling is really to get your conscious mind out of the way. And the energy starts coming through the left hand. He's like, but watch out. Everything you put on that list, it will come true. It will happen. So a few weeks ago, I was like, hey, let's throw the platinum medallion on there. And I'm cycling it. And things like manifest from that list all the time. And then you take them out, right? Because else you start unmanifesting them. Because for the universe to be able to manifest them, you shouldn't have them. So you take them out. So I'm like cycling. And then like with my credit card, when you hit a certain spend, you get 10,000 miles. But I already had calculated that in. Like, shit, that's not going to get me close enough. And Lord, like, behold, a month ago, I hit that threshold, and instead of 10,000 miles, they gave me 20,000. Crazy. I'm like, how is that possible? They just credited 20,000 medallion miles to my account, even though all the emails I got, the email from American Express was like, hey, you reached the threshold, you get 10,000 miles. The other was like, congratulations, you get 10,000 miles. In my account, 20,000 is deposited. Unbelievable. I was like, surely they're going to audit it or like whatever, had to clear that. Please take them away again. Nope, they're still sitting there. These kind of things happen with that sort of manifestation, and I'll make a class about it.
Yeah,
To
and
teach it.
actually, like when you do that, I'm also like I don't know if she'll approve or not, but I won't look at that. But I'm also part of a group, spiritual Christian group that does world work, and so I heard world work. It was, and you know, this is. So you could probably think of what it is, but you know what pattern I think he went through to manifest what good things we wanted for the world. So it's a version of that, but they go, well, they're much older, and even in, I think back when I saw it but didn't do much with it in I think 2009, that it's basically they read all these horrible things that are happening and then they work on it, and then it's the ones that they're working on, that it's system wide, and so they started seeing results I think in about 20 years for that thing. So yeah, I'm not sure if it would work for something like that also, where there's other parties involved. At least humanly, there's other parties. You don't have any control of them, and they're not cooperative. So you won't have. There's no way you're ever going to get their cooperation on something like this.
Yeah, with this method, what Bill talks about, everything that you want has to be selfish for you, and it cannot include other people. And so, as far as like preparing, like for manifestation, what do you want? What do you want? So you should have at least have a list of like 10, 20 people, 10 or 20 things. I think I like 30 something on our list right now. Because a big part of our reality and one big limiting belief is like, ooh, you cannot want things for yourself. That's like selfish, right? And there it goes. That's like one like limiting belief. Like with this system, you create a list of everything you really want. You anchor it in deeply. You start doing that. And when there's a person you want to heal and you have their permission, what you do is you stick them in there. And that's what I was talking about yesterday on the call. You don't stick them in there healing. You stick them in there, an image, seeing them, feeling them doing something they can't do right now. Because if you focus on somebody healing, well, the prerequisite is to have the experience of healing is that something has to be wrong. So the universe has to keep something wrong so you can have the healing experience. That's what's much more powerful.
Okay, I know how to do it. Like, at least, okay, it may still be in the world, but the way that the founder of that spiritual philosophy, Joel Goldsmith, the way he said it is that a bad day can continue being a bad day without having a bad influence on you. So it could still be there, but it's not going to be it won't be something that negatively impacts your reality.
Yeah.
Because I just found it kind of just really bizarre that one of the things that they were working on, that I didn't realize that, you know, I was actually in that exact situation and didn't realize it. And then you know, basically this training at work came about it because when I but basically they were looking for volunteers for, you know, the unrestricted licenses that I have, and you know, normally I'm my normal way is very helpful, but I was really ill. There's no way I could volunteer for anything. And then I found out what it was, and you know, my reaction was like, no. And I mean, they were, I mean, relatively for an organization that size, I thought they were fast, but for someone experiencing it, I think that would just be super slow. And then, you know, and now I'm confident I won't let it in through that particular avenue. But you know, kind of like how you're saying that, just the way, I guess you, or one of the other channels, that you manifest who you are. So through some other way, it could still appear. So I just have to, basically, for the purposes of not appearing and not being a participant of it, or like enmeshed in it, that's what I could manifest, but not necessarily to remove it for other people. I mean, it might be removed for other people, but for my purposes, I want to be removed from, I want to remove myself from that thing, and from it continuing coming back in different ways.
Good. Yeah, you want to sanitize your list. If you like, you really start honing in on things that you want, like think about it and then notice those yucky feelings come up that might believe you don't deserve it or this, that. Clear them with the techniques. That's really most of the work. It's just getting everything that blocks you out of the way. I am surprised. People are like, oh, my life's not going the way I want to, and yada, yada, yada. I was like, okay, what would you want? Now, that's a great question. Right? And people don't know. People never let themselves go there. They're just like, hey, I don't like my life. It's just, I'm not getting what do you want? Huh, I haven't thought about that. It's like steering a ship without setting a course and then saying, like, I'm not getting where I want to go. Where do you want to go? Well, I don't know. It sounds silly, but I mean, a lot of people are going to be hard pressed to write down 20 things that they really want. And Bill, that's his system, and doesn't say everybody's got to be that way, but he makes it clear you got to really want it for yourself, right? And be able, and if you cannot do that, yeah, that's something to work on. I want you to have a list of the things you want to experience in life and that you want to manifest. This is your playground. Awesome. Cool. Marcia,
Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't get to hear everything that was going on, so I don't mean to repeat, but so if I have an issue with numbness in my legs that I've had since 1999, that
yep,
is a strong possibility that I can get rid of that.
yeah. So for that numbness in your leg, you tell. So let's do it right now. So you have this
Oh,
numbness in your leg, right?
yes, both of them.
Yep. So tune into them. Now, if I were to ask you, Marcia, this numbness of your leg, it's a symptom, but underlying the root of this is a feeling that lies at the root. Point to where you feel that feeling in your body.
The first thing said my throat.
Yeah, go with that first thing. That's what you want to work. Right? So we're gonna like wrap up soon, but work with that. Do your magic frame on that feeling, rate it from 0 to 10, clear it. Notice what happens to the numbness in your legs. There's a good chance it will be diminished. Then you can use the other techniques directly on the legs
Okay.
and to clear it even more. So play with that. And you're always such a loyal attendee. So on the next call, I want to hear how it went for you, and we can
Okay.
go
And
into
do you still take clients? I mean, can I still come to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get your information from Jen?
Yeah, just send Jen an email. You can go on Lovonya and just schedule that. And if that's something you want to work on, yeah, you can absolutely clear that. I've
Since
seen incredible.
So it's
Yeah.
been a long time. Okay.
That does not matter, right? I know to your mind that matters. To your
But it does.
neurology, it does not, right? Your body can do amazing things if you address the underlying root.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me know how it goes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi,
Yeah.
Eileen.
Hi, Nika. I just wanted to say that I've been doing a lot of stuff around my house, and your voice today, I just sat here and relaxed, and I felt the chi running through my palms of my hands just on your voice. And I couldn't do anything you said about manifesting this or limiting belief. I was just relaxing and I was just in heaven. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. And yes, we don't always have to do things. Sometimes it's just the energy that we share. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I thought of something there. Like we will soon also go into more passive methods, I call them. I've been teaching you active methods because most of us come from a society of we got to do stuff and we got to make it happen. And that's okay. But really, what I want to teach in some of the next classes is passive methods because guess what? when something's going on, a feeling or whatever, if we can just come back to pure awareness, be with it, and relax, most things go on their own. But what I've learned from my experience, that's too big a leap to take most people into. Well, I can't just relax or let go, right? So I teach them these things to clean up things more that will allow you to relax more. So, yeah, absolutely. That's like the next phase. Ultimately, for me, most things now, even when strong emotions come up, I don't have to do my techniques that much. I can just be with it, not wanting to change it. Just give it space. And notice emotions are like a pendulum. Once they reach their max expression, it goes the other way. What happens, Zane, if you go max yang? Becomes yin. Max yin becomes yang. It's nature's way. It's our mind grasping and saying, like, no, it shouldn't be right here. It's got to go there. That keeps this pendulum from completing its cycle. Right. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up and participating. And I hope you learned some new things. And I want you to teach this to other people if you feel called to do so, right? These are techniques. The biggest favor you can do me is help people with it, right? And share it with others. And oftentimes when you see it being done on others, you learn new things. You're like, oh shit, we never thought about that. Right. One of the things when you do it with another person, whatever you say, you echo it back to them. Right. What like with Jen? What shape does it have? A triangle. Oh yeah, that triangle. What else you notice about that triangle? Oh, is it inside? Fully inside, or is it partially outside of your body, or partially outside? Oh, that triangle that's partially outside of your body that appears to have been there all along. When you do that, you echo that, you light those parts of their brain up like a Christmas tree. And you get a bigger entrainment in it, and you have more power in the system, and you can just like sap it typically in one go. Great. All right. Unless there's any other questions, I'm gonna call it a wrap today. Thank you so much for showing up and doing the work. I really appreciate it. No, any suggestions, anything you want to learn, send us an email. I do this for you guys, and I want you to really get the benefit out of it that you're looking for. So thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Nico.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
you.
Thank
Nico.
you. Yay.
Bye.